Hello my friends, today I'm doing card number 4. This is the last card of my customer appreciation card class for July 2023, and if you've missed the previous 3 cards, the links will be in the description below. My customers who order with me this month received complimentary card kits in the mail with all the pre-cut supplies to make the cards in this month's class, but the PDF tutorial and all the video demonstrations that go along with the class are free and available to everyone. So I hope you guys enjoy these free card classes. I am excited about today's card because it's my favorite out of all 4. So I'll show you the original that I made. Isn't that pretty? That makes me so happy. Now I will say, this watercolor cardstock on my original card is cut 4 by 5 1/4, but in order to make sure I had enough watercolor paper to send to everybody, I just cut each sheet in half. So this measures 5 by 3 1/2, and that's what's going to be in the card kits. I'll show you the other bits and pieces in a second, but let's talk about the stamp sets I'm using. I'm using the Hope and Prayer stamp set. Now, I don't know if I've used this set in any of my videos, but I love this stamp set, and I have used it a lot. I especially love You Are in My Prayers. I love them all. But I do use this a lot for people who are, you know, if I need a sympathy card or if they just need, you know, a little bit of support and love. I use this set a lot. I use this sentiment a lot. I love this one. I'm not sure which stamp set I'm going to use on, or which sentiment I'm going to use on today's card, but I really, really love this stamp set. Night of Flight, which I used on my last card, and Gorgeously Made, which has become used on almost every card that I make now. So let me show you the rest of the card bits that are going to come in the card kits, or that you need if you want to make these at home. And of course, if you don't have the same supplies I'm using or the same stamp sets, I encourage you to look at your stamp sets and use what you do have, because part of my sharing these videos is just to give you inspiration and ideas and get you creating and crafting and having fun. So that's all I have to say about that. So this is Smoky Slate, and it measures 11 by 4 1/4, folded at the 5 1/2 mark. It's going to open like this. Of course, the 3 1/2 by 5 watercolor cardstock. You could use our basic white or our shimmery white cardstock, but for this specific technique, the watercolor cardstock is best. Then a piece of Fairy Vanilla. I feel like Fairy Vanilla doesn't get enough love these days, but I do love the contrast as I'm kind of going with the neutrals, and then of course my inks are going to add that pop of color. So this measures 1 by 5 1/2. Because it is going to go straight across the card like that. That's the card layout. Looks pretty simple, right? It is simple. And I am also going to be stamping on some vellum. So in my last video, I had stamped some extra butterflies and cut them out for this video. So this one was stamped and colored. But I actually used the other butterfly on another card. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this and show you how I colored it. If you've never used vellum, it's a pretty cool product. I know there's a lot of new stampers out there, and I always try to do cards that are easy enough for those of you who are just getting into this hobby. I remember what it was like, and overwhelmed and not a ton of supplies, so I try to keep that in mind. And then I also keep my avid stampers in mind too, so I always try to incorporate a little bit of simple and basic and some stepped up as well. So vellum, black memento, black StazOn. I'm using the black memento to stamp the sentiment, and I'm using the StazOn to stamp on the vellum. The stars of the show are my re-inkers today. So I am using Lemon Lime Twist, Boho Blue, and Berry Burst. And what else? There's a piece of our Baker's Twine. And I'm also pulling in the black Pearlized Enamel Effects Basics. That's going to be used as a fun embellishment. So, and importantly, water spritzer and water painter and paper towel. All right? Once you have all those things together, you will be ready to rumble. So I will say, I had already filmed this particular card, and I wasn't like totally in love with it, and I knew I just wouldn't be happy posting it on my channel. I may be able to do more videos with my internet now, but I still want quality, not just quantity, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I think it's the Leo in me. So I am redoing today's card. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is get a block and squeeze out your re-inkers. So I'm going to do a pool of my lemon lime twist. I'm going to do my boho blue and my berry burst. I sure appreciate all the comments that you guys leave on my channel, and I am so sorry that I have not been on top of responding, but when I fly home to BC next week, I will try to get caught up on my comments when I'm waiting for our flights. I do read them all, and I do love and appreciate you guys so much. Okay, water spritzer, or it's a spritzer, I should say, just with water in it. So I'm just going to spritz my watercolor paper. Okay, so it's got a good amount of water on there. I'm actually going to pull my paper towel in here too. So there we go. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lemon lime twist. I'm squeezing my water painter. See all that water that just dropped out? And I'm just going to drag it down. Wasn't quite sure what to call this technique, but it's kind of going to look like a drip, right? See, just water it down. And I'm going to do one in the middle. I'm not going all the way down the paper. Ooh, it's spreading out. And we'll do a little bit here. Just pull it down. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with my boho blue. I'm cleaning my water painter on the side. And I'm just going to let it drip down as I pull it down. And we'll do one here. Just kind of making some stripes. Okay, and now I'm going into my berry burst. And let's put one here. We'll do another one here. Okay. I'm going to take my water spritzer again and spritz this. And when this dries, it will dry softer. So see how they all blend in? And I'm going to tip it over and just let some of that water and ink come down. See how it's kind of picking up into my paper towel. So just let it drip down. Let me turn it this way so you can see what I'm doing. That's better. Now you can leave this and let it dry on its own, or you can use the heat tool. Personally, I like to let them dry on their own, but for the sake of the video, I need to speed things along. So I'm going to set this with my heat tool. Little tip and trick, don't throw these away. Reuse them, and then when they're full of ink, you can use these on your cards, and I will do a video for that. So save up your paper towels with the ink and everything on them for the day that I do the video, which I don't know when that day is, but that day will come soon. But that's a fun technique with the paper towel. All right, I'm going to blast this with my heat tool. Don't toss this. You can use all this ink for another card. Nice and dry. I'm going to bring my paper towel back in because I want to add some splatters. And I'm going to add some splatters with my berry burst. So bringing my water painter back in, I'm going to squeeze it until I know that water is coming out. Yep, see, water's there. I am just going to do the tiniest little dip into my berry burst, still squeezing water. I want lots of water on this tip of this aqua painter, water painter. And I'm going to tap it on my hand. Many of you know how to do that. I'm going to turn my card, go in a different direction. You can splatter as much or as little as you want. Get some more water in there. The amount of water helps with the splatter. Okay, I'm going to call that good. I'm going to clean this on my paper towel, squeezing this as I go until that comes out clean so that it's ready for the next time I use it. Which actually is now. Because I want some plain water splatters on here too, because that adds a really cool effect on watercolor paper. Let me zoom in just a smidgen for you guys. So again, I'm squeezing my water painter. Can you see I've got water on here? No, you can't. No, you can. I want to make sure I've got lots of water on that tip. Squeezing it really hard. There we go. And then splatter some water on there. You can use a paintbrush with dipped in some water as well. And I'm doing this in steps. Like I'm adding my colored ink, setting it with the heat tool. Then I do my splatters. They dried pretty quick. And now I'm doing my water, because if you do it without drying in between, you're going to get an entirely different background. Not a bad thing, because that's still going to look pretty cool. All right, I'm going to heat this up now. So I've got my splatters and I've got my water splatters on there. I love that look. You can do so much with this piece. All right, remember, put this aside, save it. I'm now taking the type script from Gorgeously Made, and I'm going to stamp that onto this very vanilla piece, and I'm going to use my black memento. And you know what? I'm going to do something different. I always stamp my envelopes. Always, always, always. So I'm going to use that for my background. And then that's already starting decorating my envelope. Okay, just want to make sure my type is going in the right direction here. While we have this out, I'm going to bring in my vellum and stamp my butterfly. Now I'm going to switch from black memento to the StazOn so that it dries nice and fast on the vellum. Now for this card, I'm going to use this stamp right here. So this stamp set is super cool because not only can you stamp the line image on this stamp, but you can also stamp the solid image, which I did in my last video. But we are just going to use the detailed line image on this one. I love the smell of StazOn. Have you guys ever noticed StazOn smells like almond extract? It's just one of those things that's always made me happy. Alright, ordinarily, and what I did on my original card is I used my markers on the reverse side to color this, but I'm going to try something that I've never done before. Because I have so much ink here, I'm just going to use that, and I don't know, let's see how it works. I'm going to just use my water painter and just color it in. Now, if I don't want my colors to bleed into each other, I would need to dry in between adding the colors. But again, experimenting as we go here, I'm going to just pick up those colors and drop them in and see what happens. Why not? Let's play. This is going to make more of a green because that yellow is wet. I'm going to pick some of that up and do that in the body. Now you're actually not even going to see a lot of this body because I'm going to put that enamel on top. So you know what? I am going to zap it so I can add my berry burst. always get different ideas when I get going and start stamping, and sometimes I just try those ideas while I'm filming, so it's always a bit of a surprise for everyone, myself included. So I'm going to add some more blue, and I'm going to spritz this while it's still wet. We're going to discover maybe a good technique together, maybe not. Let's put some blue in here. All right, let's see what happens. This is either going to be a flop or something super cool. Okay, water, do your magic. Okay, now I'm going to zap it. Don't need all that excess water on here, so I'm just going to let the paper towel soak it up. So that looks super cool, actually. I'm going to have to make other cards using this, using like an oval die cut or something, so that I can get how that water overflowed, because I think that looks really, really neat. I think I'm gonna leave it at that. That is so cool, I think. Now I'm gonna cut this guy out. If you don't want it to have that watercolor look, use your markers so you have more control of your coloring. But that is super cool. All right, let's get our sentiment stamped on here. And I'm just going to position my butterfly so I know where I'm going to put my sentiment. I am going to use "Under his wings you will find refuge." So I'm going to stamp it right down here in the corner. I'm using my black memento and I'm just holding it down, making sure that ink really absorbs into this paper. Got a little bit of wiggles. That's all right. Okay, now this can get glued onto my card base. Before I put this piece on, I'm going to take a glue dot and put one here and one here to hold my twine. This guy, curl up his wings a bit. I'm going to put some glue just on the body, and then I'm going to put that guy right there, and with the remaining twine I'm going to add a bow and pop that on. And I'm going to stamp "You are in my prayers" on the inside. And this extra butterfly that I did on my last card, I'm going to glue on the inside. Now, for some dimension, my enamel effects, I am just going to squeeze some right onto the body. I'm going to start up where it's widest, give it a good squeeze, and then I'm going to use the tip to control where I want it. And this stuff is cool, and it's so great for like bodies of butterflies and all kinds of things. And I got a lot on there, so I'm not squeezing, I'm just using the tip to move it around. And then I'm just dragging it down with the tip. And let me show you what that looks like. neat, huh? So I could leave this as is, but with this little streaky black, it is kind of, you know, it needs something. I need to cover that up. So I'm going to pull in my iridescent rhinestones, and I'm going to add some and almost try to make it look like it's a trail that the trail of the butterfly is leaving. That's kind of where my thought process is. So I'm going to put one here, and I know you're still going to see that black beneath it a little bit. There's a card done with some improvising. Let me show you my original card. You can definitely see the difference between the two cards that I made, and this one, of course, the butterfly is more dominant with the coloring because I used the markers on it. And you can see I put my sentiment up here versus this one where I put the sentiment down below. I used a bigger butterfly, and you've seen the craziness that I did wanting to experiment with my inks and water. You don't know till you try, but I think it turned out pretty cool, and I really, really like this card design. Imagine it at Christmas time. My brain always goes in a million directions when I'm making these because I'm thinking Christmas colors, blues with a snowflake or some pretty greens and a piece of holly. You can do cupcakes for birthdays, lots of different ideas. So this is a really, really fun technique. I hope you give it a try, and I hope you enjoyed this month's card class. And I have another video coming to you next week, and it is featuring our window sheets and another cool technique. I'll give you a quick sneak peek. Okay, so that's what's coming to you next week, and then I'll have another video coming to you at some point while I'm away during holidays. It's hard to get some videos done, of course, but I will have definitely another video coming for you in the next week or so. So until then, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button and the little bell next to it, and then you will know every time I upload a new video. Take care, you guys. Have a great day, and happy stamping.